Lifelong learning for humans in the school of Earth. Many of you might have an idea of something that looks like this when I come up with that title. But don't worry, I am not going to give you a convoluted thesis or a bunch of shoulds or an instruction. I'm going to give you this whole concept in one word. So I stand with the wise words of many of the world's greatest thinkers, leaders, and business tycoons in their concept of education and learning. John Dewey, who is a speaker, said that education is not the preparation for life. Education is life itself. Albert Einstein said that when we stop learning, we start dying. And Zig Ziglar said, life is a classroom. Only those who are willing to be lifelong learners will move to the head of the class. So what all of these guys are saying is that our biggest and most valuable learning comes from our experience of life itself. So another way of looking at this is that a school that we are all enrolled in from the moment we are born is the school of life on earth. So I like to call it the Earth School, in which we are always learning. Now, how many of you have been to an educational institution called school? Anyone been to school? Yes, all of us have. And interestingly, we are in the premises of a school today. So we know that in school, there is a curriculum, there is a syllabus, there are learning objectives, like we learn how to multiply, or we learn how to construct a sentence. So perhaps in our school of life, in the school of earth, there would be a curriculum, and there would be learning objectives for us. But what could there be? What are we here to learn, and how? So if I showed you this equation here, most of you will feel very comfortable looking at that. Yeah? We know the answer. There's nothing to learn there. But what if I showed you another equation that looks more like this? How many people feel comfortable? Yeah? Maybe one or two? I bet not everyone's very comfortable looking at this, because in order to actually understand it, we need to become more conscious. We need to break it into little bits. Then our perspective changes. We focus more inwards. We move past our current approach. Then we learn. So just like in the school that we went to, they presented us with challenging math equations. Our life, our school of earth, presents us with challenging life situations. And the whole purpose of this is to become more conscious, focus inwards, and then we grow. So perhaps we can accept the idea that we learn through challenges in our experience of life. But fortunately, that is not all that life has to offer us. So in my 13 years of working very closely with people, I have come to understand that life presents us with moments of challenge, where we are uncomfortable, and moments of support, where we are comfortable. And since we are living in duality, both happen concurrently. So at any given point in time, we will be experiencing some challenge, like maybe you are rejected by someone that you love, or you failed your exam, or you have aches and pains and migraines that you can't help. But at the same time, there will be at least one area in your life that is supporting you. Like you have enough money in your bank account. You have friends that are supporting you. Or you have a personal resource of inner strength or resilience. And these areas of support feel really good, but that's not where learning comes from. So when I was getting money very easily from my generous father throughout my childhood, I didn't learn much about work or money because it was just there. Then when I decided to open my own company, that's when I grew and I learned tremendously. I know I was fortunate enough to have someone that would be willing to contribute to me for my entire life, but I didn't want that. I was committed to try and do this on my own, so I wouldn't have my parents saving me. And what I wanted to do is open up a wellness center in Hong Kong that focused on a modality called hypnotherapy. And when I said this word hypnotherapy, many people would think of this. So they would look at me and say, I don't want to look at your face, don't look at my eyes, or you might make me act like a chicken. Or this is mumbo jumbo and words that you've taken from the sky and you're calling this a profession. So that judgment propelled me to look inwards. I was challenged by it. I then looked at why I'm doing this. I did believe in the work. I did believe that this is one modality that helps us to access the subconscious mind. So then I developed this unshakable trust in my vision. And another thing I learned was perseverance. Perseverance to go with it, even if at times it might seem like I may not make it. So that perseverance had me learn about how to overcome my limiting beliefs. There was a part of me that thought maybe I was not skilled enough, maybe I didn't deserve to ask for so much money, or I could fail. And I had to make peace with all of those. And then I grew tremendously. And today I am the owner of a wellness center in Hong Kong, and we do focus primarily on hypnotherapy, which actually looks like this. Okay? It's a session where we help people to access the subconscious mind. So you see, when life is comfortable, it just sails by. And it's so easy to enjoy the experience of carrying your Chanel handbag or going to a swanky hotel like the Peninsula and sipping in your fancy teacups. It feels good, but it doesn't propel us to become conscious or to look inwards. Instead, when you are challenged in any area of your life, after your fair share of whinging and complaining and becoming the victim and wishing that things were different, there will come a point where a lot of us become conscious and we realize that the person suffering the most is us. We are suffering. We can't change the outside. We can't change another person, even though we really wish we could. We can't. We can change the way that we perceive it. We can shift our interpretation, and when we do that, the feeling changes. So what if, instead of resisting, judging, and complaining about a situation, we began to accept the situation? That acceptance changes the way that we feel in a very, very positive way. So there is my one word. Okay? This is what we are here to learn in the School of Earth. It's acceptance. And the way that we've been conditioned to learn this is through challenges. Sounds simple, right? But it may not be so easy. It does take something. So let me first tell you what I mean by acceptance, the definition of this. Because some people think that acceptance means approval, and they collapse the two together. And then I hear people say things like, how can I accept something I don't like? I'm not going to accept that I got 30% in my exam. I'm not going to accept that my parents didn't give me enough attention when I was growing up. That's just not fair. I can't accept that. Well, the acceptance that I'm talking about is the absence of judgment, both good and bad. It is not about liking or approving or disapproving of something. It is the art of being with what is. Being with what's so, without the judgment, and just being at peace with it. And when I say at peace with it, the mind and body feels calm. So I have other people who interpret acceptance with something like a resignation feeling. So it looks like, yeah, I got a 30%, what to do? Can't change it. I know that's the way my mom is. Suck it up, what to do? Can't change her. Does that look peaceful? No, there is no peace there. So true acceptance has no judgment and it has peace. It looks more like this. I get that I got a 30%. It happened. It was an experience. I accept myself. I accept the experience. It's now over. It's in the past. And now I can focus on what can I do different or what can I learn from that. You're not denying it. You're not in a delusion. You're not giving up. But it's freeing. It's a different type of acceptance. And it feels really good. So our challenges that life has to offer us normally comes in 3 different categories. We are either challenged by ourselves, our own behavior, something that we felt like we should do or we shouldn't have done. We could have spoken more politely, or we could have spoken up for ourselves and we beat ourselves up. The other area that challenges come is from other people. When we're upset at someone else for not being social enough or neat enough or polite enough to us, and we get upset about that. And the third area is a situation, like who's the president, or a divorce happening in the family, or who's our boss. It's a situation that we can't change. So the thing to get from all of these is that It has already happened. Whatever you are upset about that's happening in your life right now has already happened. It's in the past, and the past is over. The only truth in this present moment is that you and I are in this room. That's the only truth. Everything else has happened in the past. And so it's our choice whether to accept it or to continue judging it. And sometimes all these three challenges happen at the same time. So let me tell you how all these three things happened to me. And it happened to me in my experience of coming on the TEDx platform. You see, along with being a hypnotherapist, I have become a public speaking coach. And that's because people come to me to overcome their fears. And one of the biggest fears in the world is the fear of public speaking. Death is number 2. So people would rather die than speak in public. So yes, that's naturally made me a public speaking coach. And in that, I had coached several people to speak on this platform. And I had never spoken myself, and I really wanted to. So I decided to apply. The first time, my husband nominated me at the time that we were engaged. And he got a reply back saying, yes, we have heard that this woman is getting married soon and she won't have enough time. I obviously didn't know that I was marrying him. The second time, my friend nominated me. And she got a reply back saying, yes, we've kind of heard this name before in Hong Kong and we're looking for someone that's more unknown. I didn't know that that was a criteria. And the third time, I nominated myself. And then I got another reply back saying that, we've got so many applications and so many of these people have been through natural disasters. Some of them have lost something in a tsunami, another one's gone in a hurricane, and it doesn't feel like you've had enough trauma. And obviously, I didn't want the trauma in order to be on the stage. So there I was, coaching all of these people and facing my personal series of rejection. It was challenging. And I felt challenged on all three fronts. I felt challenged with the situation because I feel like it's something I couldn't change. I felt challenged by other people because I wish that they would have picked me. And then I started judging myself for maybe not being good enough or writing a good enough application. So obviously, it was time to look inwards. I was challenged in life. So during one of my regular introspections, I decided that I would accept that I haven't been chosen so far. I would accept it. That does not mean that I was giving up or I didn't want it anymore, because that becomes denial. It was just accepting, okay, it's not happened. Give up my judgment of the people that didn't pick me. Give up my judgment of myself as the victim. Be okay with or without this experience. Let go of that attachment. It took something, but when I did it, there was so much freedom. And within that freedom, it took 4 days, and I got an email from a TEDx without me having to apply, and nobody nominated me. And they said to me that they would be honored and privileged to have me on stage. And then there I was last year, and I did my first TEDx. So I find that miracles happen when we apply this technique. Miracles happen when we can let go and accept. And we don't need the situation to change to feel better. So this sounds like a great concept, but I always believe that learning really happens when we apply this to ourselves. So if you would join me, I'd take you through a very brief exercise. If you can please close your eyes, focus inwards, and think about something that is challenging you right now. Think about any situation. It could be you're upset with yourself, or another person, or a situation. And as you are focusing on that challenge, notice how you feel in the body. I bet the body does not feel so comfortable. And there will be somewhere in the body that you are holding this discomfort. Focus your awareness on that spot. It could be your chest or your stomach. And now begin to accept that you have been judging. You've been judging yourself. You've been judging the other person. You've been judging the situation. The acceptance of your judgment is already starting this process. And now just take 3 deep breaths and begin to release that judgment and let it go. Release the judgment of yourself and begin to accept it's over. Release the judgment of the other person and accept it's just an experience. It doesn't mean anything. And release the judgment of the situation and get that it doesn't mean anything at all. I'm free. And when you begin to accept, something will begin to change. You can open your eyes now. Whose body feels a little more comfortable? Yeah? And that was only 10 to 15 seconds. So if we make a decision to accept, our body feels different and our reality changes too. This is something that I invite you to do in your daily lives. Make a decision to accept and bring it in the body. So folks, so far we have learned that the lifelong education on earth is about acceptance. So far we have been conditioned to learn this acceptance through challenge. But I'd like to leave you with a thought. And that thought is, maybe we don't need the challenge to learn this acceptance. Maybe that's just the way that we've been learning so far. What if we were as conscious in our good moments as we are in our challenging moments? What if we could go to the peninsula and sip our tea in our fancy teacups and still feel present, still accept ourselves, accept other people, feel connected all around? Maybe life will not need to present us with so many challenges then. Maybe the ups and downs will look less dramatic. And maybe we can go back to the way we were when we were children and we were just learning how to walk and we didn't see it as a challenge. Wouldn't that be an idea worth thinking about? Thank you.